I mean, it's really come as quite a shock to me that there's this level of really hatred and violence from the left. I always thought the left, or Democrats, were supposed to be the party of empathy, the party of caring, and yet they're burning down cars, they're firebombing dealerships, they're firing bullets into dealerships, they're just smashing up Teslas. Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
It is an extremist mentality to believe that your way of thinking is the only way of thinking. And the irony is they claim to be so tolerant of this, so tolerant of that. But once you peel back the layers, you see that all that tolerance talk was BS. It seems as though as time goes on, we become less tolerant of each other. Now, we can speculate as to why this is, but I think John Cleese explains it the best.
Seriously, though, we've heard a lot about extremism recently, a nastier, harsher atmosphere everywhere, more abuse and bother boy behavior, less friendliness and tolerance and respect for opponents. All right, but what we never hear about extremism is its advantages. Well, the biggest advantage of extremism is that it makes you feel good.
When it comes to these extremists, they believe that what they're doing is just so righteous that it gives them this sense of superiority, this moral high ground. So it justifies, in their mind, it justifies being some of the most terrible human beings on the planet. It helps them justify doing things that in a normal society we would all deem as reprehensible.
Because it provides you with enemies. Let me explain. The great thing about having enemies is that you can pretend that all the badness in the whole world is in your enemies and all the goodness in the whole world is in you.
Isn't that what I've said before? See, I will never take someone seriously if you can only point out the atrocities on the opposite side of the aisle. Because if we really are going to be critical thinkers here, in every group, there are going to be bad actors. But once you enter this extremist territory, all you can do is point the finger and never look at the mirror. And that's a huge problem.
Attractive, isn't it? So, if you have a lot of anger and resentment in you anyway, and you therefore enjoy abusing people, then you can pretend that you're only doing it because these enemies of yours are such very bad persons.
This moral high ground, all in an effort to hide how evil and vile some of the people on this planet actually are. I think there are a lot of people that have abusive tendencies, and because they know that it's technically wrong, they try to find an outlet for it where they can use it and feel good about it, feel good about being terrible people. Think about that one woman that was posting on TikTok saying, oh, I'm going to be mean to Republicans now. And then she started posting all these nasty videos, basically making fun of Republicans for how they look. Rather than attacking whatever statement or claim that they made, she started making fun of their looks.
Not all of us were meant to be Michelle Obama, Jack Schlossberg liberals. Some of us were meant to be Regina George liberals. Y'all did it your way, and we're doing it our way.
See, she's always been a mean girl. She's using her virtues to hide behind so that when she behaves in this nasty, negative behavior that we all would deem is unproductive, she gets to say, oh, well, I'm doing it for this cause, even though it's absolute BS. You just want to be mean to people. And it's okay to just say that. Like, I would much rather people just came out and said, hey, I want to be an ass. Hey, I want rules for thee, not for me. I would just rather people come out and say that instead of hiding behind, I'm on a moral high ground. I'm just attacking those who are morally corrupt, even though your actions in and of itself make you a morally corrupt individual.
And that if it wasn't for them, you'd actually be good-natured and courteous and rational all the time. So, if you want to feel good, become an extremist. Okay.
Keep in mind what he said. If you want to feel good, be an extremist. But what about if you want to actually be good?
Now you have a choice. If you join the hard left, they'll give you their list of authorized enemies. Almost all kinds of authority, especially the police, the city, Americans, judges, multinational corporations, public schools, furriers, newspaper owners, fox hunters, generals, class traitors, and, of course, moderates. Or, if you'd rather be an extremist on the hard right, no problem, fine, you still get a lovely list of enemies, only they're different ones. noisy minority groups, unions, Russia, weirdos, demonstrators, welfare sponges, meddlesome clergy, peaceniks, the BBC, strikers, social workers, communists, and of course, moderates.
This is why every single time I post a video and I try to see both sides, I have extreme left and extreme right in my comment section, all in their fifis, because they want us to play skins versus shirts. But in order to play skins versus shirts, you have to leave rationality and fairness out the door. And I'm unwilling to do that. And see, this is what's so freaking toxic. When you're a moderate, you see both sides. You hold everyone accountable. But when you don't have moderates, then we end up in senseless war, senseless civil unrest, because nobody is willing to concede at any point. Moderates can concede on either side because, we have no affiliation. We don't run for a set, but when we're surrounded by a bunch of extreme mofos, it becomes extremely dangerous.
And upstart actors. Now, once you're armed with one of these super lists of enemies, you can be as nasty as you like and yet feel your behaviors morally justified. So you can strut around abusing people and telling them you could eat them for breakfast and still think of yourself as a champion of the truth, a fighter for the greater good, and not the rather sad paranoid schizoid that you really are.
And that's facts.